What's up, everybody? Do you own or manage a facility? Well, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Facility Playbook. I'm Luke Wade, founder and CEO of Facility Ally, and this podcast is about helping facility managers and owners learn from pioneers and veterans in the industry who have built and managed successful sports facilities, entertainment venues, and clubs. After 14 years of managing leagues, facilities, and massive events, I've seen exactly why facilities fail, and it's usually a lack of systems. Revolutionize your facility management with a turnkey support partner. Facility Ally offers everything you need to launch and scale your venue, from a dedicated media agency to battle-tested playbooks for leagues, pickup, and tournaments. From site audits to sponsorship decks, Facility Ally is the ally your business needs to win. Do you want to see how your facility measures up? Take 3 minutes. Get a personalized operator scorecard across the 8 levers that separate facilities that print cash from facilities that bleed it. Visit facilityally.com.
The pickleball gold rush is over and the consolidation phase has begun. Clubs are failing every single week, but why? Today we have Courtney Jenkins, co-founder and operator of Armory Pickleball in the Pacific Northwest and Washington State. Courtney is a coaching veteran who specializes in removing chaos from the game to reach the zen of pickleball. I'm so excited to have you on here today, Courtney. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Luke. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Before we jump in, tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to what you're doing today.
Yeah, just like everyone else in the COVID time period, I got addicted to pickleball. It was allowing us to be social at a time when it was very difficult to do so. I started squeegeeing off the courts in the winter and with everybody else in the community. And we figured, man, we've got to do something to get us inside. So my business partner and I opened Armory Pickleball in an old Armory building built in 1910. You can see it in the background here. So from there, we built a community, started off being closed to the public and membership only. And then now I am about to open my 4th facility, 2 of which helped come from the depths of despair.
That's amazing. Congratulations on 4. Extremely difficult to get even 1 going and get past 1. So I'm really excited to have you on today to talk to this very hot topic of there's still a ton of pickleball facilities getting ready to open and are working on opening at a time where consolidation, we believe the bubble is popped, right? So excited to really talk to this topic with you. And you've stepped into facilities that were hitting the wall. When you're doing an autopsy on a failed club, what are the big 3 sources of chaos that usually kill the business before the owners even realize they're in trouble?
I think having too much structure is one, and I'll say that with some caveats. The right amount of structure is important, and I don't mean systems and processes. Structure around how your community runs and the rules and coming in with ego or this is how we do things here. That typically doesn't fly very well, especially because every community is a little bit different. So I would say humble, that is hungry and eager to learn and help the community thrive is the biggest winning point. So other ways it can fail is you jump into a lease that you think you're going to be able to achieve, and you've done revenue projections based on gut or some model you got off the internet. So that's really tough too. So securing an awesome lease that's going to work for you in the beginning. Don't think long-term, like eventually I'm going to get this figured out and I'll be able to pay for that lease. Well, you're going to need to pay for it up front. Just making sure that those types of things are secure and really just coming in and being a community first facility. I think a lot of clubs have opened with the dollar signs in their eyes and trying to capitalize and monetize on a super popular and growing and social sport. And that can help you in the beginning, but like sustainability wise, it's way better to approach it from a genuine community first aspect.
I love that. You're talking to the right person. As the community creator on Instagram and a couple other places, I totally believe that community is the #1 driver, and it makes for less friction if you build a great community. So out of the 4 facilities, how many have you taken over from failure?
2 out of the 4.
Okay. So half of them. And you said
Yep.
Community. What's maybe one thing you saw immediately on what about community did they do wrong?
So one of my locations on the other side of the mountains, I think that programming is important, but understanding the community and meeting everyone where they are and working with existing groups. So not coming in guns a-blazing, like, hey, we're here to save everyone, but working with existing groups that are already successful, local pickleball communities, little clubs that are happening at schools or at the college, and really capitalizing on what's successful for them and how you can bridge the gap between giving them a better facility to play in. I think that's the key element. And also being relatable. I think that this person who opened this facility was a pioneer and an entrepreneur and was really gung-ho and made it happen, because a lot of it is not being able to make it happen. A lot of people talk about opening a pickleball facility, and it's harder than it seems. And you're not just throwing paint down and you've got the walls and you've got some barn that somebody has offered up to you. It's a lot more than that. So being able to fully run a facility from the ground up, including the community, I think is the most important part of it. And just coming over there thinking you're going to open a facility and make a bunch of money. So I think you really got to do your research and really build that community from day one. Getting the community involved to help you open your facility is a great way to do that too. Get them excited. I think some of the things that failed in this community is not having the right person running it and having this entrepreneur person who came in, and that's half the battle, is getting that set up in the beginning and getting those courts open and all that. But then you have to make it a sustainable experience. You can't just be an entrepreneur anymore. You have to be a people relatable person. You have to be able to invest in programming and coaches and bringing the right folks on. So that was one experience I had with that facility.
I love it. I think at the core of what you're saying is essentially the team is one of your most important things, right? Like knowing who your customer and community is, right? So in every market, it's different. You're in 4 different locations. So I'm sure who you're after and what you're providing them is a little different in each one of those markets or communities. And then ultimately, like, so how do we serve the community? And then ultimately is like, who are the people on my team who are helping serve that community? And so I agree. I think team is your most important thing. That's the only way to really grow and scale, is when you have multiple people going in the same direction. So how large is the team that runs Armory Pickleball day to day?
So we have about 22 staff and volunteers that run all 4 locations. So we're pretty slim. And some of those are like, one of my volunteers is my paddle guy. He retired and he just became the paddle guy. He was like, I'm interested in this. He understands the technologies. He can talk about them. I cannot. I'm like, I know what feels good and I know what plays well for me, but I don't understand the difference between carbon and foam and all these different technologies that are coming out. So I would say finding people who have a niche and can fit something that's missing in you as a facility owner, and being humble enough to say, hey, I need to surround myself with awesome people that are better at things that I am in these certain areas. So I would say, for example, I've got Tim, my paddle guy, who knows how to break in paddles. He knows how to understand the newest and greatest and latest, and how to been overwhelming taking on all the paddle world in the last few years. It started off pretty slow, and then now it's completely saturated. I personally get overwhelmed by it, but I've got my guy, Tim. We have like 22 people that are on our group. We have a Slack channel that we all communicate together. Some of them are volunteers. I have 4 operations managers, so 1 in each location. Those are paid. And a lot of people just love what we're doing and have volunteered their time to be a part of our staff. So that's super cool. And I think the thing I've done best so far is pick awesome people. And it's so important.
It's awesome. And I love the volunteer side of things. It's super cool. And people always, I go back and forth with this on different people, because like, how do you truly scale that, right? Like if you're trying to grow in every market, and how can you really rely on a volunteer? And if you're not paying them, are they really going to show up? So maybe talk about that for a minute, like how you've been able to include them as a part of the team. Because even people like me, right? Like I feel guilty having people do stuff for free. Like I'm always wanting to just pay people, right? And so even if somebody's like, no, I'll do this for free, I'm like, well, I don't feel right. So maybe talk about that for a second. I think that'd be helpful.
Sure.
How do you decide who's a volunteer, or when to put somebody in a volunteer position? And then how does that work?
Right. I think part of it is like listening to your community and seeing leaders silently emerge. I don't like the loud leaders. They have their part, but you have to be a little nervous up front about the ones that are loud, because you don't want someone to come in guns a-blazing and try and tell you how to run your business, but you want someone who's like softly and organically emerging in the community. And whether that's them themselves stepping forward, or community members that are saying, hey, I really respect this person. This person continues to show up. So a couple different people have just emerged as like, hey, I want to help. I want to be a part of what you're building. They believe in me. They believe in Armory Pickleball. They believe in our community. We've developed a program called a work trade program. And so we have several volunteers that work for our community basically, and they get a return, a membership. So they can play whenever they want. They have same benefits as our staff and corporate sponsors. They can book out further in advance, but they're out helping our community assimilate. And I know that's a negative word, but basically we want all these people out there. I can't be everywhere, right? My 4 operations managers can't be everywhere. And it's a little less organic when it's someone who's the owner or the staff. But if somebody from within the community is out there bridging gaps and making stuff happen, training people on the ball machine, it just makes our organization so much more sustainable. So we've developed this work trade program that has been highly successful. In fact, we have too many people that are interested in it. Obviously, everyone loves a good deal on their pickleball, but we do ask for a certain amount of commitment. So 6 hours a week is what we have typically been asking for, but it's flexible. And if someone's gone for a month on vacation, we just cover it. Like, it's not anything too crazy. We're really kicking this out a little bit further now that we're about to open to the public in Ferndale and Bellingham. So we need all these staff members, but I don't want it to come off my bottom line because I'm still trying to make my new lease, my really big lease I'm about to take on, right? So we've had to scale the work trade program, and then we're cutting it off, but we have a sub list, if you will, of people who are like, man, we're really having a hard time covering this 2 to 4 shift on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we can pull from that list. And we've got training materials. We've got a binder of documents. It's like, here's all the questions you'll be asked. Our membership flyers. How does open play work? Some of them are hosts, so they get to show up and help people. Or if there's no questions to be answered or no one walking in the door, they get to just go play. So it's a real big benefit. And it's something I think I'm most proud of at my club so far.
That's awesome. That sounds like, again, I think the challenge I always have with volunteers is like having a system where you're like, yeah, you're volunteering, I'm not paying you. And yes, you're getting a membership, but like, I need you to do these things, right? Like talking to them, you are paying them or their employee. It sounds like you've built a great system around that. So that's super cool. I'm going to have to maybe borrow that from you someday.
And building in other perks too, like different auctions that I get solicited for all the local auctions. So sometimes I'll send one of those guys, they get a nice dinner and I say, all right, if you want to bid on something, I'll send them to that. We often do other events throughout the year where we can reward those people. They get inside information, discounts on tournaments and events that we do. And so I really try and make sure it's a win-win for both sides.
That's awesome. So out of your 4 facilities, it comes down to your staffing and your volunteers again. So do you do your own programming, like events, open play, tournaments, all of that, or do you just rent space? Because I know there's several different facility options out there available. I think we're starting to see you got to do it all to survive, but I'm just curious, do you do your own programming or do you just rent space?
Yep. No, we do everything. So we do tournaments, we do our own camps. Sometimes we'll have others come in. We've got a guy named Devin Schmidt in the area here who runs awesome clinics and camps from Cloud 11 Pickleball. He's great. We have him come once a year. I think we're going to have Susanna Barr come in. We've got Dottie Berry, who's coaching the mental game. We've got different things like that we bring in, but mostly we're doing our own programming. We have some mixer hosts, what we call mixers, which is just like organized round robins and whatnot, some money ball stuff where we have different themed events and we try to get people excited. So we've had some like mixer hosts emerge in the community. Those have been really incredible because every time you come in, you get an interesting format that day or a different experience, or there's prizes, or sometimes we'll do it for money. Sometimes we'll do it for some other perk. We do have like game nights and other things like that. Programming is incredible and is absolutely the special sauce of all these facilities. Do watch what other clubs do too. And I'm good friends with all the club owners up here. It only makes sense to share ideas and brainstorm. And got to meet you through the IAPPF, which is the International Association of Pickleball and Padel Facilities. That's been a great opportunity to share ideas. The ones I like the most are obviously the ones most forthcoming, and I have these great brainstorms with them, and it's just awesome. So I pay attention to like Pickleball Kingdom Linwood. My friend Pablo runs that. I look at every one of their emails that they send out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. We started a league together, which maybe I want you to help me with that one, by the way, Luke. And so it just pays to really be paying attention to programming and listening to your community, but also like you can get stale a little bit. The round robin every other Wednesday, you read it off you get a number. Like sometimes we need to add a little variety, and what does that spice look like, and different platforms that are out there doing different things in the community to help bring new formats and make it easier for you to implement those in the community. So long story short, yes, we're doing that, all of our own programming, and we offer tournaments as well. In Bellingham, we offer one tournament a quarter. We just did a special one, which is we hit the underserved population of singles and youth. It was called Sunseeker. It was a great success. I think getting the word out about it, everyone's like, wait, what? You're doing a singles tournament? You're doing a youth tournament? This is amazing. The timing on that one was a little weird just because it was the end of our spring break, but it was highly successful and our people are asking for that. So we're looking for little niches that as Seattle area starts opening up a bunch of new pickleball facilities, which weren't there before. Everyone was calling me going, hey, I'm opening this, I'm opening that. And now everybody's a true owner and figuring out their own special sauce. But it's important for us all to learn from each other and continue to add spice to the pickleball life.
I love that. And I think one of the things around programming I was asking about is like running your own programming, or do you just rent space? Are you a membership club? Are you like an entertainment concept? And so I think like what I was alluding to earlier is like nowadays you got to be everything, right? You got to bring in new people. You got to cater to the beginners. You got to cultivate that community, hopefully grow them into the more competitive and the other stuff that basically you offer for tournaments and higher level training, and you buy the paddles, right? But ultimately, I think you got to offer everything. And that, in my opinion, comes down to programming. And so a lot of facilities that I meet with will be like, we're going to be the biggest and best, and we're going to get the big tournaments here, and we're going to have all the competitive players. And well those players don't spend a lot of money sometimes, and they're not going to be there every day like you think they're going to be. And so when you lead the new picklers program, and you take over a failing club, like how crucial is it to stop chasing these elite players and instead focus on manufacturing new players through those like fun moments that you really love to coach?
100%. So we struggled with that in the beginning. I feel like the elite players, when we were trying to open, were the squeaky wheels about what they wanted and how they wanted us to program and design things. And at the end of the day, the bread and butter, honestly, has been for us, the 3-0-3-5 player who's hungry for their weekly competition. They're coaching, they're getting coached, they're drilling, and they sign up for our tournaments, and they're the ones who keep coming back. They're in there more than I am, right? So I think it's important to see that and to hone in on the rec aspect of that middle intermediate player that is super vivacious in the community and just is hungry for learning more and being a part of it. The elite players, those are harder. They're harder to program. They're very picky about who they play with and when. I think Duper has done a lot to also keep some of the more competitive nights that we were doing with Duper, and they were like, well, I'm not going to play if so-and-so is going to come and they're going to sack my Duper rating. So that's created a little bit of chaos for us as facility owners. I'm hoping to see some of that get figured out. Can't share too much information here, but things like that where the 3-0-3-5 players, they're just out there to have fun and to learn and come in, and they do take advantage of our programming. Whereas the more elite players don't think they need coaching. They don't drill as much, or they just drill with themselves. They don't want someone to tell them how to do stuff because they already know. And so it's been a little bit harder. But the new picklers, you brought that up, like that's such an exciting thing for us. We need to continue to feed what I call the Ferris wheel of pickleball, which is like, hey, get on the Ferris wheel, check it out, figure it out if you like the circus or you like the rides and whatever. Start there. If you like the view when you get up there, you want to get you off and then send you over to the teacups where you can drill and you can do other things. But it's really important not to lose those people in the very beginning. So it's one thing to like have a new beginners class, but then what? Where do they go from there? And so we actually have someone on Work Trade who is our beginner expert, and she is doing programming for beginning. And we're also working at with the Bellingham Pickleball Club, who brings in a large audience in my Bellingham location. So really catering to those guys, because at first they feel intimidated to go to open plays and whatnot. So we really need to have sessions for them where they feel comfortable stepping out into the open, the wild, right? So we'll do skill development sessions for them after the new picklers classes. And then we set them up with drilling partners, and then they get together and they find people that are at the same level as them. And then they continue to do court reservations and drill and then grow into open play. And then pretty soon they're one of those members out there that are the 3035 and coming in 3 or 4 times a week with their buddies.
I love it. That's awesome. The idea of the funnel, right? People don't know how everybody has heard of a sales funnel, but like, what does that look like in pickleball, right? And it starts with beginners. It starts with getting new people in and making them love your community, right? Like I learned to play pickleball there. So you basically have this ownership and this like loyalty to that facility. And I think, like you said, that's one of the most important things. And so you mentioned a little bit of, and maybe I'm duplicating the question, but to clarify, like, how do you move someone from a free new pickler class to like a high lifetime value member without adding like chaos to your schedule?
Right. We also have had mentors emerge in our community who love to take on the new picklers. So they'll say, I'm available for drilling. So they'll drill with some of these players and help them get better. Like I said, we get these new picklers set up with programming that is specific to that beginning level. Some people get stuck in that. You don't want to say beginning too much. Like there's definitely the new picklers, and then there's the people that get stuck around 2.5 and they're just not going to get better and they don't really care, but they love the sport and they want to continue playing at that level. And they love playing with beginners because there's no pressure for them and it's social and they see these players getting addicted. So there are a lot of those people that get in that, what I call the developing stage of pickleball, and some of them don't ever want to leave because they love it there. So having mentors that are experienced at pickleball yet still beginner type of play, that has been really great and something we're going to move forward as we open more to the public. But I can't tell you enough how important it is to have the Ferris wheel for beginners and working with the community and the Bellingham Pickleball Club, for example, getting those new players. How do they find you? How do they come on board? And really focusing in on programming specific to them. So they'll have, in your software, court reservation software, whichever you choose, you can do programming specific to them that they'll see. That's like, oh, okay, that's me. That's my level. I'm a developing player. So I'm going to continue to sign up for those things. And they're going to sign up with the people that they learned with likely. And so we'll group those people together and they get to progress along. So it's been really fun thinking about the programming for that as we open to the public.
That's awesome. I think that's one of the things I continue to see, right? Like that was one of the things I learned pretty early on is not calling it a beginner because it's vague. Like you've got new picklers, right? We actually call it learn to play. And we've actually taken this outside of the pickleball market too. Now we've got learn to play volleyball, learn to play. We've done learn to play shuffleboard at different bars that we've worked with and things like that. So that learn to play really just takes it down. Like no one needs like beginner, like should I have my own paddle? Should I have played before?
Right.
Do I need to know the rules? Like what is a beginner, right? Whereas learn to play is like, oh, we're just coming to learn to play. And you will still get the range of like this person's played before, but they're trying to learn a little bit more. And the person who's never picked up a paddle, but they all come in together with the same mindset as we're all here to learn. And I think to your point earlier, that helps drop the ego. It just helps that community a little bit better. And what's cool is to see those people either team up and play together in the future and basically do those things. So I think beginner learn to play and how you structure that and name it like new picklers is extremely important too. That gets into my marketing brain. But I'd love to hear that and see that because again, it's all about like the barrier to entry, getting them in, making them feel comfortable, and then giving them options to continue to play with your facility.
100%. Or there's a spouse that's really good and they're like, okay, I've got to get my spouse into it, but they can't really play together very much, right? They don't want to hold their spouse back. So I think there is a lot of opportunity to learn. I like the learn to play. Maybe I'll steal that from you. It sounds really fun.
For sure. And it's also the people tend to make it a little bit complicated, right? Like, oh, I've got to have a class and it's got to be taught by a certified coach and I need a pro to teach this class. Well, I actually created our Learn to Play program that we've now copied into multiple markets that we use over and over again. I created it 4 or 5 years ago because it took it and I basically created it in a way that like, I wish I would have learned to play this way and it was broke down this way and really easy. And now we've taken it to our youth program, right? To teach kids how to play. So I'm not a coach. I've never been certified. I learned to play by getting yelled at 2 or 3 days a week when I was playing with other people. You should be up, get back. What are you doing? Right. And so I think sometimes we overthink it and we try to get professional and we try to, we got to have a coach to teach this. But this program I've created, we've taught our part-time staff. We've created a system to train them. So basically anybody can create a learn to play and run a program that teaches people how to play because it really is the basics. And in my opinion, sometimes it's comes off better from someone who is a beginner or someone who's not a pro because it's not as specific and they're not teaching like the things you should know as a pro. We're really just trying to get you playing as the bottom line.
Exactly. And some of the beginners, you can tell them, hey, we're doing a skill session where everybody brings a drill, and then you get them thinking and researching and finding drills that they like, and they get to teach it too, which is really awesome because you don't really learn something until you can teach it, right? So even when you're in that learn to play phase, you can bring something to your own team of learners and teach it, and it'll help solidify that skill in your brain.
It's awesome. I love that. Stealing that. We're going to just keep stealing each other's ideas. We'll just partner
Yeah.
up sooner or later.
Okay.
So since everybody can play pickleball, what do you believe the biggest focus should be going forward? Are we focusing on more adult learn to play beginners, or should we going after youth, seniors? We've already talked about we should probably focus on recreational over competitive, but what do you think the biggest focus should be going forward when it comes to like adult, youth, or seniors?
100%. This is something my staff and I talk about all the time. Right now, we're really focused on growing youth pickleball in Whatcom County. I know in Ellensburg, Jen, my operations manager, and our youth coach, Donovan, are really hitting the ground hard and developing a bigger program. Every time we do camps, there's a few more in it, and kids are asking for more and more. You throw a little competition at them or show them a different format, they're like, ooh. So I think the future of pickleball is growing the sport at the youth and college level. And I love to see all the USA pickleball stuff happening with juniors, and different clubs are happening now. Finally loving to see that college and high school are having the sport of pickleball, actually like a sanctioned sport for them. And that's exciting to see. And so I think that's a super important part. You look at any of the other racket sports that have died out, like racquetball, for example, they didn't do a ton for youth back in the day. And also, there wasn't social media and the ability to advertise better, and racquetball was hot during that time, but they didn't really grow the sport at the youth level, and it was hard to get to a club that had racquetball courts, et cetera. But since pickleball is so accessible and there's so many courts outside and all that, is a little bit easier. I also think making sure the seniors are highly engaged because they're retired and they have time to play pickleball and invest, and it keeps them happy and healthy. I think that is an underserved population. I know everyone thinks that like pickleball is older people, and it is, but I would say like the average age is probably like 40 to 50 people still working. And there's a lot that are older that play that are still able to physically. And then there's some younger groups coming on, but I definitely think the seniors is like, I have people tell me all the time that pickleball saved their life. I don't know, you've probably heard that too, Luke. And not just pickleball, but their sport or their hobby. It's getting them out of the house. It's keeping them active. It's actually giving them more years on their life. I see all these things because I've looked at a couple of them, all these little, how pickleball was one of the top sports for seniors because it is so great at not only the mental aspect, keeping track of the score, the social aspect, getting you out of the house to build relationships and to be with your friends and really keep that stimulation going. You can tend to get depressed if we stay home and we don't have human interaction. And so pickleball is such a great inviting sport. And I think I had one third point there with the seniors, and I don't remember what it was, but it was like the longer they can stay out and play and have that stimulation, I think it's so good for them. That's why golf is a great option too, because it is an easy sport to do as you age, but it's just not as affordable. So I think pickleball brings an affordability. A lot of seniors are on a budget. And so if you can meet them where they are and figure out how to make budgets work, I think pickleball is a great option for seniors. So I think you're right. Bread and butter is at 3.0 to 3.5. The middle-aged crowd that's hungry but we also need to continue to focus on the youth and the seniors, because I think that's really where the sport thrives.
I totally agree. And I think that when thinking like longevity from a business perspective, we just talked about how important it is to get new players into the game. Well, because pickleball can be played forever, it's like the younger we get them in, the longer we have them, either in the business side of things or just in the pickleball community, which to your point has been extremely beneficial and powerful for many people. I've been seeing this for years, right? Like we got into pickleball pretty early. I think we started 8 to 10 years ago. So we got in pretty early thanks to Chicken and Pickle, who opened in Kansas City first. I was able to see that, like, what the hell is this? We should get into pickleball. But my big business, Casey Crew, we've been running social sport programming for almost 15 years. And we started with softball, kickball, and and sand volleyball. And now we've got 15,000 people a year. Pickleball is probably our fourth biggest sport. So to your point of like social connection and the positivity, most of my friends I have today are people I've met playing sports with, right? Playing adult leagues with.
100%.
And so how important that is, not just pickleball, but the power of pickleball is that you can play it forever. And so if you start now, you maybe be the best person in the retirement home someday, right? But I think it's so important for everyone's mental and physical health to do something. And pickleball is a great way to do that, no matter your skill level, no matter your injuries that you have or your age. And so I totally agree, just getting new people in the game, which in my opinion, youth, and that's a big focus for us too. We had a youth pickleball league kick off a couple of weeks ago with 12 players in that. We do part beginner, part training, part activities and games, and actual scoring in leagues. And so really excited to get that moving and growing. So all of this to say how important it is to bring new people in, all the programming that you mentioned, leases and those things. So if you started all over today, what would you do differently?
I think the biggest thing, people ask me this a lot because I was one of the first clubs up here in the Pacific Northwest. And honestly, like we went back and forth, me and my business partner, Craig Cooper at the time, for months, trying to figure out if we wanted to be open to the public or not. And if we wanted to be elitist and more of an exclusive club. And with only having 5 courts, and one of those courts is shoved up against the wall and it's more of a coaching court. So no ATPs on one of the sides. So really 4 robust courts. We had to decide if we wanted to deliver a quality experience to a smaller amount and really build a strong community, or saturate it a little bit with like too many people coming in, trying, especially in the fall and winter, trying to take advantage of these indoor courts. And so we just shifted. Financially, we had to make it work too. So I think what we decided in the beginning was to be an exclusive club that you had to be a member of. And we really tried to build that community. And so even though I don't know that I would fully change that, just because we had so much to learn and it was so nice to have the same people coming in and giving feedback and all that, I do feel like we alienated ourselves from some of the community in the beginning because we weren't able to be open to the public, and we didn't have drop-in for $10 for someone to come in and play and learn pickleball. And not having new picklers, we didn't start that until later in the game. So I think, I hate to say it, but I think I would open to the public somehow and figure that out. And whether that is just Sundays and evenings from 8 to 10 or whatever, but do something. A traveling person couldn't even come play at the Armory, and they had heard so much about it. And so I think in the very beginning club that I started, I think that I would open to the public or figure out how to do that. We did work with the local pickleball club and allowed them to come in with like hosted play, but it is a big challenge because it affects your bottom line a lot. You have to staff appropriately. You have to have the right insurance. You have to have all your stuff needs to be like ready for the public, right? It is a bigger deal. But me as a community person, I feel like I left some people out when we made the decision to say, go with a yearly membership that only certain people could afford. We looked at a lot of different ways to incorporate other people in the community. We did volunteer courts up for different groups that were less fortunate or didn't have financial means, or developmentally disabled groups that are constantly looking for new stimulation, create those neural pathways and go out and do some bonding and stuff. So we did lots of things like that. But I think I would say I would really try to figure out how to open to the public and not get the reputation we did in the beginning of an exclusive club. So I'm trying to repair that now with opening a new facility. Everyone told me to walk away from it. They're like, it's too big of a financial risk. What are you doing? Just keep doing what you're doing in Bellingham, and Ferndale's about 10 or 15 minutes away from the other location. And I feel like this is my opportunity to go back now and serve that community a little bit better and open the doors more to the public and more affordability. And so I think this is what I would change. I hate to say it.
No, I love it. Again, everybody makes mistakes or does something that they would do differently, and ultimately it's just a learning lesson, right? And I think that's what we're learning now. Is the pickleball world was so new, everybody was trying everything. Some were being like entertainment, trying to copy the chicken and pickle model. Some people are trying to be membership only, the elitist model. And ultimately what we're seeing now today, it's a combination of both. You got to do it all. You got to be public. You got to have membership options for your biggest fans. Like, you really need to be doing it all to really succeed, especially as the sport really doesn't continue to grow as fast as it was. Only the ones that do a little bit of everything are going to be the ones that succeed. And that's one of the things I helped create. One of the facilities that I work with was, we called a community open house, right? Because a lot of facilities, like, you have to either come in to learn to play for new, I got to join a learn to play program if I'm going to try something new, or I have to rent a court, or I need to join as a membership, or I got to pay to do a tournament. But a lot of people won't do that, right, to try out a new club. And so one of the things we created is a monthly community open house, which is completely free. Come all day, come play, come check out the facility, and is your excuse that if you didn't want to pay to play in something else, you're not a new player, or maybe you just hadn't had a chance to come by yet. This is your one chance once a month to come check it out. And we see a conversion rate to clients. And so that's one of the things I recommend every facility do, no matter if you're pickleball or a new facility. Like, give the community a chance to come check you out at a low entry, low risk. Obviously collect their data, make them sign a waiver so you can remarket to them, like do all the right things. But ultimately it's the hybrid model that we're seeing work. So,
and do it at a time where you're trying to fill a dead spot on your courts too, right? Like, hey, we have this window of like 2 to 4 in the afternoon on Sunday. What can we do? How can we embrace what the community needs here, right? So you saw a need and you said, because as facility owners, it is about the bottom line so we can stay open at one time. But on the other side, we get sad when our courts are not being used because we know there's people out there that would be on them if it was accessible to them. So I think it's this great balance. And I think I'm going to steal your idea and offer, we've talked about when to do it. I think we need to figure out what the programming looks like for us, but your court reservation software and an analysis you can do to look at court utilization is super valuable. And trying to pick, how do we pick programming based on what's not being taken advantage of now? So I think that's a great way to do it, is like, hey, we've got some free court space here. Let's just open to the public and see who comes in and see who wants to learn and who notices. And you might find yourself a little niche or convert some people to pickleball just like that. I love it.
Awesome. Well, that's how we get started, right? What we would do to change. But say an owner is listening right now who's maybe, unfortunately, they can't go back and their club is maybe in phase 1 of discovery. Like, they're realizing, oh no, we're losing money. Like, what is the first thing you think they should do to find their zen?
Great question. I think indirectly I get asked this a lot, but I think the way you phrased it is perfect. At the end of the day, I want to make pickleball as affordable as possible for as many people as possible, but you still need to keep your lights on, right? So I think there's some awesome creative revenue stream opportunities that you can do that don't make you have to charge more money to the average pickleball player coming in for drop-in, right? So one of the things I do love about the IAPPF is David and team put a lot of time and energy into gathering data and really showing us, like, here's all the ideas that we've come up with, all these other facility owners across the country. Here's revenue stream opportunities for you. And so having them do that research and taking advantage of that, I come up with some of that stuff on my own, but private events are a big money maker if you are willing to sacrifice some court time or do them at the appropriate time so your membership or the public, if that's who you serve, is not completely put off by too many events happening, because then it looks a little like you're just bringing in whoever will pay to take over. You definitely don't want to give off the vibe, but those same people at some point might want to do a private event too. So I would say corporate events and birthday parties and things like that are a really fun thing to do at facilities. If you do them right, and if you price it right, that could be really beneficial for you. And if you just do them for 2 hours and you keep it quick and easy, you've got tables and tablecloths, and they do their own catering, they sign a waiver, and great revenue opportunity. There's also, one of the things I did is developed a sponsorship team. So I now have a team that's working on commission and teamwork. Doesn't come off your bottom line necessarily, but if they go get a sponsorship deal, a court sponsorship, or we're starting to figure out if we want to do ads on the TV. I've always been like, I don't want a blingy, throw ads in your face type of space at any of my facilities, but if you do it right, there's some good opportunity there for you. So creating a team, we have a sponsorship flyer now. Thanks to Luke, you and your team actually offered that team of mine great feedback. Just a plug, and I'm not doing this on purpose, but like, these guys were really great in helping us put the right information in front of potential sponsors. We were able to hone in on the right things to show, whether it's a deck or a flyer, or how to word those emails, or how to get organic partnerships. Your team has been so great at that for us. I'd really like to take more advantage of that in the next year, but having a team that's going out there, because the facility owners are swamped, right? So if you can enable these teams that are going to get frozen yogurt anyways. They're going to a gym across town anyways. They're going to a chiropractor anyways, just dropping off flyers. So I think really focusing on organic sponsorship team and getting a robust setup for that is really helpful. I wouldn't say it's like no brainer because you do have to put some work into it. Luke's asking me for awesome pictures of events that we've done in the community, and it will take you some time to put that stuff together. But I think that's an amazing, sustainable way for you to get your word out there. You can do an email a week to someone new. People on your team, just throw names and companies in a spreadsheet, and as people have time, they just reach out, and it's been really great for us. It's working out really well. I would say tournaments are a good opportunity to bring in some excitement and some foot traffic. If you advertise your tournament up on some of these tournament platforms out there, there's one main one right now. We're trying to break down that monopoly by having more, but it's also nice to have one place to go to find tournaments. That marketing helps itself. So tournaments are a decent revenue. You can bring in a coaching clinic, for example, and charge a PPR, for example, have PPR come and do a coaching certification at your facility. And that brings traffic and eyeballs to your facility as well. And obviously social media and website stuff, you have to stay on top of that. But I think your question is, what is the one thing that I would say if you think your bottom line is looking scary? I would say don't try and increase your membership prices and pass that on to your bread and butter. Find better revenue opportunities through sponsorships, utilizing people like Luke and Facility Ally who do this for a living. They know how to reach audiences. They know how to help with programming. I would say that would be the biggest thing that I would recommend is don't suffer in silence. Don't try and charge your members more. Really go after creative partnerships, opportunities, sponsorships, and start leagues and things like that will bring in repeat people. So I know that's a long answer. I hope that answered your question.
No, that was great. More than answered it for sure. I think to your point, there's two scenarios, right? If you're a facility looking at your failing and you've got people coming in the door, you've got a lot of traffic and everything, your number one ROI profit margin thing is going to be sponsorship, right? But it's really important about how you go about that. To your point, like you said earlier, my Casey Crew business sells sponsorship every year. We've got energy drinks, we've got service like home facility companies, we've got a marijuana company, right? Like, so we sell sponsorship all the time. So knowing what they want, how to track it, giving them an ROI, right? You've got all these people coming in, but then who is your sponsor going after? What's the demographic? What's the data analytics? And I know we talked about this is really important because ultimately that sponsor knows who they're after. And if you've got their people, now it's just trying to figure out a deal that works for both of you. And then how do you track it, make sure you deliver on it, and so that you can get them to sign up again the next year without having to go find a new sponsor, right? And so those things are really important. My team does it all the time. And to your point, some things are out of your control, but if you've got a great system for sponsorship, then that's going to help you make that biggest ROI really quickly. So got people coming in the door, let's go get some sponsorship, because in my opinion, that's going to be the best way to increase your bottom line without, like you said, hurting your community. If you're in the other facility side of things, the other struggle is you don't got people coming in, you don't have all these people coming in, you don't have the numbers to go sell the sponsorship. You got to start at square one, rebuild your community, offer those things, bring in the new people. So I agree with everything you said. I think there's a couple scenarios there, but sponsorships is the number one. If you got people coming in the door, if you don't, just reconnect with your community, figure out what they want and offer that to them. And then going back to the other thing you said, corporate events, we also do a ton of those. Also great ROI, great profit margin in those. A little bit more work, a little bit more relationships. That's where I say SEO comes in really big. Most of the companies that are looking for team building events are literally Googling team building events in Kansas City or in Seattle. You're not coming up first or the first couple, you're not going to get seen. Otherwise, you got to go to the chambers. You got to hound those people down. We get leads all day, every day from Google of people looking for team building events in Kansas City because my team has a great SEO. We do this for a living, right? I have a media agency, all of that. And so those are big ROI things. So it's worth the money to spend on SEO over 3 to 6 months. If you're going to, worth to spend the money on SEO over 3 to 6 months if it's going to mean you're going to get 1 to 2 leads a week that are 5 to 10,000 corporate events, right? So really big numbers there, but again, a little bit more work. Like you said, there's always work involved there. So thank you for that. Last couple questions here. What does the next 3 years look like for Armory Pickleball?
So I think that this has been such the last year or two has been such growth for us, expanding to 4 locations now. And so I think I've got one thing in the hopper that is going to be not Armory Pickleball branded, but it's going to be at a cool resort is golf and pickleball community, and it's local here in the Pacific Northwest. And I won't be branding it, but I'm going to be on the operator side. So I'm looking forward to a new opportunity there and to see what that looks like and how sustainable that is. If I just add one staff member that helps people put pickleball into their resort or development community. And so I'm looking at that. The other thing I want to do is get to a place where we are just solid at all 4 of these locations and everything's running smooth and my operations managers are operating as hands-free as possible from me and I can step away a little bit. I want to have a coaching director. Right now, we don't have a coaching director. Each location is doing their own thing. So I think it's important to have an umbrella on how we do things at Armory Pickleball, that when you go to one location, it's not completely different than all the other locations. So I'd like to have someone overseeing that process. So that's one opportunity for us as well. And I might get to the point where I have like an operations manager who takes my role now and plugs themselves in there so that I can step back a little bit. It's not sustainable what I've been doing this last couple years, the amount of hours that I've been working. It's because I care. It's my business. And so no one cares more about it than me. And I get that, but I've got to step away and enable some more people to jump in and help out. And they come with new ideas too. So what if my ideas are going to start getting stale and I need a fresh approach? I'm going to open it up to that. Other than that, I just really want to focus on stabilizing in each of these locations and making my community thrive and empowering them for new ideas and what they want next. And a lot of it is starting to do more with youth pickleball for sure. So we are focusing on that. We're trying to figure out if we want to build a nonprofit for our Armory Pickleball Academy is what we're calling it. And so obviously I'm going to be reaching out to my co-facility owners across the country that I've met at all these IAPPF meetups and conferences, met some great ones at Racket X, but is a nonprofit the way to go with your youth pickleball program, or do you just keep it all under the same umbrella? So we're looking at youth pickleball a lot in this next couple of years.
Love it. That's awesome. So what do you think about pickleball as a whole in the next 3 years? What do you think that looks like? What does the next 3 years look like for pickleball just in general as a sport?
As far as the trends and the data and all that, like I really rely on other people to feed me that. That's why I like to take advantage of David's presentations in the IAPPF because he's got his pulse on that. For me, I go with gut feeling and what my co-facility owners are saying. I don't think pickleball is going anywhere, but I definitely see it picking up big time in the youth. And I think that's how this sport continues to grow. Like I talked about racquetball earlier, how it died out. Well, it died out for a number of reasons. Main reason is it just never became a sport for the youth. And so it didn't continue to thrive. So I see youth pickleball going crazy in the next 3 years. And like you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of pickleball facilities that are failing. And so I see some consolidation. Once you get courts and a facility up there, that is 3/4 of the battle on the startup side. And then sustaining the community after that is where the real crunchy work is. But people that know what they're doing are going to see opportunities where courts are already there and beautiful courts, right? And someone did put a lot of time and energy into building those out. So I just see some consolidation happening over the next few years. I don't know what's going to happen in the franchise world. It seems to be continuing to grow. We've got a couple of players, 3 or 4 players in that space now, and I see that taking off a little bit more, but I also see them consolidating as well. So we will see, but pickleball is not going away. It'll be interesting to see what happens with padel and if padel branches into getting pickleball facilities to expand, adding those on, or if they're going to be paddle specific clubs. I'm interested in paddle. I'd love to get one going up here and up in the north, because I know there's a lot of Canadians who are interested and like to play just because there's so many, it's such a melting pot up there. So they've been exposed to paddle in European countries, Latin America, where it's big, and then they come in the US and it's not as big here. So it'd be interesting to see where paddle goes, but it's not as social and easily accessible and just fun game as pickleball. So I just don't see it taking off to quite the same height. Plus, it's just too hard to have 3 courts out in the public for paddle. So there you
Totally
go.
agree. Thank you.
Great.
That was absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming on today. Thanks for providing all this great insight. To your point, we met at the IAPPF. Check that out if you're in pickleball or paddle. I agree with you. I'm a huge fan of paddle. Love to see where it's going. Still don't know whether it's paddle or padel yet. Everybody keeps saying it differently, but we'll figure that out eventually. But I totally agree. I think I've heard the term of pickleball as the gateway drug to paddle. So if you're thinking of putting paddle in your facility, I highly recommend adding pickleball as well. But to your point, great organization, IAPPF. If you're thinking of joining, check us out in June. I think we'll be in Philadelphia, I think is where we're going to be.
Billy,
So
am I
come on
gonna
out
see you
there and check that out. And if you're, I'll be there. I'm excited about it. I'm going to check out Ballers. Can't wait to see that facility. But to that point, if you're a multi-sport facility, you're looking at learning more, not just pickleball, check out the U.S. Indoor Sports Association. I'm also a part of that. If you want to see how your facility measures up, take 3 minutes, get a personalized scorecard across the 8 levers that separate facilities that print cash from facilities that bleed it. And you can do that at facilityally.com. Thanks again, Courtney. Can't wait to see you again, and appreciate you being on the Facility Playbook today.
So happy to be here, Luke. We'll talk to you soon. This was really fun.
Sounds good. Take care.
Take care.
After 14 years of managing leagues, facilities, and massive events, I've seen exactly why facilities fail. And it's usually a lack of systems. Revolutionize your facility management with a turnkey support partner. Facility Ally offers everything you need to launch and scale your venue, from a dedicated media agency to battle-tested playbooks for leagues, pickups, and tournaments, from site audits to sponsorship decks. Facility Ally is the ally your business needs to win. You want to see how your facility measures up? It only takes 3 minutes. Get a personalized operator scorecard across 8 levers that separate facilities that print cash from facilities that bleed it. Visit facilityally.com.